in minor chat.
Shout out to Ali Talks Music and most importantly, Moss Fam. Shout out to y'all for tapping in. This video is what happened to Lloyd Banks. Now, me personally, I've seen like a lot of YouTube shorts and interviews, and 50 Cent book with 50 Cent basically saying that Lloyd Banks is like lazy, like he's like his own downfall basically. But I don't know if there's any 100% truth to that. So without further ado, we're gonna get straight into this video.
Despite being a part of one of the most iconic rap groups of all time, and despite being a multi-platinum selling artist, Lloyd Banks has seemingly disappeared off the face of the earth in recent years. When Lloyd Banks appeared on G Unit's Beg for Mercy, he started getting attention from the mainstream, and he was ultimately dubbed the Punchline King due to his creative lyrics and hard-hitting punchlines. Soon after the release of Beg for Mercy, Lloyd Banks released his now classic album The Hunger for More, and it spawned massive hits such as On Fire, I'm Still Fly, and Karma. The album was released in 2004 and debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. The album went on to sell 433,000 copies in its first week, and due to the success of his first album, Lloyd Banks was able to release 2 more albums as well as a bunch of mixtapes that were received well by his core fan base. With that being said, what is going on with Lloyd Banks' career, and why has he stopped releasing as much music as he used to? The answer to this question takes us back to 2006. Now in 2006, Lloyd Banks released his sophomore album Rotten Apple, and around this time his father passed away, and this made him distance himself from music altogether. According to 50 Cent himself, Banks became musically uninspired and started distancing himself from the group, and in an interview with MTV in 2014, 50 had this to say about the whole situation. His father passed away, and I was like, alright. He passed away. But you can't just go home and stay home. Look at Kanye. His mother passed away while his record was at peak point, and if he didn't go on tour, he wouldn't be the Kanye that you know right now. Everybody deals with grief differently. Some people use their grief as fuel to ignite a passion for something they love. Some people withdraw and become isolated, while others remain numb to the whole situation until they feel like they have enough strength to deal with the loss. So I can fully understand why Banks chose to distance himself from music. However, 50 did not understand this at all. And according to Banks himself, this is because 50 did not grow up with his mother and father, so he couldn't fully comprehend what Banks was going through. In an interview with XXL in 2010, Banks...
I don't think that's the case. I think 50 just knows the experience of losing somebody and that you still gotta keep pushing forward. People do grieve differently, so I'm not gonna say Lloyd Banks was wrong for, taking time to himself, but to just stay there, like trying to basically just stay in that mind state and place permanently, that's not something you should do. You gotta get back up and tell yourself, this is who you're doing it for at the end of the day. Like, now you gotta live for them and show them that you're gonna continue to make them proud even when they're not here.
Had this to say. 50's whole thing was just push on. But he didn't grow up with his mother and father. Seeing my life pass before my eyes, it was like, no matter how much shit you have or how good you're doing, you're going to go through this and be devastated. In my opinion, Lloyd Banks losing his father is one of the main reasons why the Punchline King has declined musically over the years. However, when we look at things from the outside looking in, it is clear that 50's influence also played a major part in Lloyd Banks' decline, and here is why. Now, anybody following 50's career will notice that ever since he became a mainstream artist, his reputation and position in hip-hop thrives on trolling other artists, and sometimes the members of his own crew become victims of his wrath. Whenever 50 has an issue with the members of G Unit, he airs it out publicly, and one cannot help but notice the fractures that have taken place within the group. So recently we found out that Lloyd Banks has left G-Unit and has decided to go independent. And in an interview with Report Card Radio on YouTube, one of the original members of G-Unit called Bangam Smurf had this to say about Lloyd Banks' departure from the group. Banks wanted to go for a long time. I'm happy for him. As the years go on and your career doesn't take off like you expected to, as a man sometimes you want to step off, branch off, and do your own thing, especially under 50's system. Everything, you gotta cater to him and make sure he's happy and do everything his way. He'd been wanting to go because there has been tension in the group for years. Now what does this all mean? Let's break it down. When 50 Cent and G-Unit were at the height of their career, 50 Cent had beef with seemingly every New York artist in the game, especially those that affiliated themselves with Ja Rule, and because of all the beefs 50 was involved in, the rest of G-Unit was not allowed to branch out and collaborate with other New York artists without being a target of 50 himself. And this is exactly why the game left the group. Now, if we look at hip-hop today, it's clear that Atlanta has pretty much taken over the position that New York once had. And the main reason why that happened is because artists from that region show love to each other and collaborate often in order to create good music. Atlanta artists know that there's enough space in the industry for each artist to exist and make money. And if 50 and the G-Unit crew followed this same philosophy when they were at the height of their career, they would have created better relationships with other artists, and this would have kept them in the spotlight for much longer. So these days 50 is known for trolling on Instagram, and he also has many business ventures that take him into the world of television, movies, and alcohol. However, every once in a while 50 says something on Instagram that makes us wonder what he's actually talking about. And earlier this year, 50 had this to say about his G-Unit clique. Some people are not built to make it. Their habits and instincts will pull them right back to the struggle. You put them on, and they mess up the package. Do you realize that G-Unit only did 5 shows together without me? In the 16 years, every time you saw them together, it was my show. Now that's a big bag they messed up. Now 50 has a point here. When 50 dropped Get Rich or Die Trying, he was at the top of his career. He had a multi-platinum selling album, he had formed close relationships with Dr. Dre and Eminem, and even though the whole world was impatiently waiting for his next solo album, he decided to put his team on by dropping Beg for Mercy instead. And this turned Yayo, Buck, and Banks into international superstars overnight. Keep in mind that Tony Yayo was in prison when Beg for Mercy dropped. However, once Yayo got out of prison, 50 gave him $1 million and a Bentley. Now what does this all mean? In simple terms, it means that 50 put his team into a position to win, and because the members of G-Unit were thrusted into instant fame overnight, they became complacent and they depended on 50 to make them rich, and this is the reason why the rest of G-Unit did not take the time to build their own brands. So I've heard a lot of people say that Lloyd Banks is lazy as far as putting out music goes, but if we are to look at the number of albums and mixtapes that Lloyd Banks has dropped, it's clear that he put in a lot of work. However, when it came time to promote his albums and mixtapes, Lloyd Banks was nowhere to be found. Banks would drop a mixtape and seemingly disappear off the face of the earth until it was time to drop his next mixtape. So in a sense, I can understand why 50 feels as though the team dropped the ball. Instead of promoting his singles, Banks would sit at home and work on new music until 50 Cent came to get him. In fact, when Banks dropped his highly successful Beamer Benz or Bentley record, 50 had to go to the man's house and talk to Banks in order to get him motivated again. 50 made Banks shoot the Beamer Benz or Bentley video, and the song went on to sell more records. However, an interesting thing to note is the success of Beamer Benz or Bentley would not have happened without 50's involvement. So was Lloyd Banks lazy? I personally don't think so. However, when it came time to promote an album, single or mixtape, Banks could have done a little bit more. So we recently found out that Lloyd Banks is no longer a part of G-Unit Records. He has decided to go independent, and 50 has nothing but positive words for his former G-Unit affiliate. He is doing his own thing, and you know it's going to be loaded with bars. Check him out, PLK, get the strap. Given his newfound independence, I can't wait to see what Lloyd Banks does next. Is he going to thrive as an independent artist, or is he going to fade into obscurity the way most independent rappers do? I personally hope Lloyd Banks makes a comeback because I'm a huge Lloyd Banks fan. I still have all his albums on rotation, and I hope Lloyd Banks is able to not only put out multiple bodies of work, but he's also able to take the initiative and promote his records when the time comes. So I'm gonna end the video right there.
Man,
if you guys like this type of content, don't forget.
Shout out to Ali, man. But I don't know what he's doing right now. But like I said, I've seen YouTube shorts basically with 50 Cent saying he was lazy. I know who is with him right now, which is Tony Yayo, Uncle Murder, and that's the only people I know that's with him guaranteed right now. But other than that, I don't really know too many other people that's with him right now as far as like a group or music. But get in the section down below. Let me know what y'all think about this. With that being said, I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. Love is love, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.